No, okay, yep. So finished practice 12 today. We're in shells, which is shoulder pads. So you didn't go live. Did some thud. Uh, I thought it was okay. There's some moments that looked good and some not so good. And my message to the team afterwards was pretty much about how, as coaches, we take great responsibility on increasing everybody's value. I heard Coach Saban say that many times down in Alabama, that one of the coach's main jobs is to decrease the value of every one of your players. And now the value is monetized so much, whether it's on the college level or hopefully they get to play the next level. And our job as coaches is to make sure they get coached and get better every day, every time that we're with them. And we're going to do that. We're going to coach them. And sometimes that's not always pleasant, but our guys, I think, understand that. And I think collectively we've gotten better. Individually, they've gotten better. And they got 2 more practices, Wednesday and, of course, Saturday, to try to take another step. And then, obviously, your summer workouts.
So, interested in the tempo. Did you play as fast as you would have liked last year? How much?
No, not even close. So, and part of that's because we couldn't get first downs at times. Couldn't run the ball like we needed to run it. You know, the only way to play with tempo and pace is get first downs, whether you throw it or run it. And we didn't get nearly enough first downs, and so that puts a burden on the defense. And that's, you know, obviously a point of emphasis, but you know, when we've had successful offenses and we're scoring a lot of points, we were controlling the tempo. And I've always, you know, it's part of what we do, how we are, and then obviously if we get to the fourth quarter and have a 2-score lead, I'm trying to win the game. Then, you know, now we're gonna squeeze that clock down as much as we can, but we have to be in great shape, and we're going to play with tempo. Now in practice we do both. You know, we do defensive tempo because our defense will not always see fast stuff, so they need to have an ability to see a regular break out of a huddle kind of deal. And then we'll have offensive tempo. So usually our practices are mixed between those two.
So I know you've explained this before, but my memory, can you help me again? When did you first start doing that, and why? Who gave you the
Level
idea?
State, 1990. Took over the program. They didn't win a game the year before, and you know, so it's kind of the perfect job to take, right? It's like, you know, I remember threw a 13-yard pass in my very first game, home game, and wasn't a big crowd, maybe 500 people, and I'm related to 490 of them, but I think we threw a 13-yard pass and got a standing ovation. I'm like, hell, I ain't never leaving. But when I got there, I was still only a few years into my coaching career, but I had worked on the defensive side. Defense coordinator at Salem College, Salem, West Virginia, then a volunteer here. So when I got there, I said, okay, I'm going to be a head coach, and what kind of scheme am I going to do? And I thought, well, as a defensive player, I always thought the hardest thing to go against was somebody's 2-minute drill. And you ever watch a team that struggles the whole game, and then they get in their 2-minute drill right before half, and they go up and down the field. And I'm like, let's just try that the whole game. What do we got to lose? We'll get 5 little dumpy linemen to get run over slowly. Get me a quarterback that could throw it around a little bit, like a Jed Drenning. Give me some receivers that can catch and move in the open field like Chris George. And it was different. You know, the run and shoot was in vogue a little bit in the NFL, but it was an under center, and the drop was at kind of a 5 o'clock turn, a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock turn. So he turned his back all the time, and everybody would blitz from the backside. And I think Warren Moon probably got sacked more than anybody in the history because everybody would blitz from the backside. So I'm like, well, we're a shorter quarterback. Let's back him up for his vision. All right, and then the drop is already there, so a guy could come unblocked and he could still get rid of it. And so that's kind of what we did. It was shotgun, spread out, fast, no huddle, and it fit us. And it was new and different. And so the genesis, the base of what we do to this day started back there with Jed and those guys at Glenville.
Going off of that, did it change your outlook when you got Sean King and Woody Dance and some of those guys?
Yeah, that changed the run game 100%. Yeah. I think Jed, we might have called 2 or 3 draw plays a game, and Jed would usually try to check out of those. But he was a good athlete. He's a tough runner. But when I got to Tulane with Sean King, all of a sudden, like, man, we need to be able to run outside zone, but we can't block that guy right there because he's. So we just started reading him, and so now all of a sudden you're running zone read and counter read, and you're truly playing with 11 in the run game, and that part of it took off with Sean, and then Woody Dancer at Clemson, and the guys up here, Rashid, Pat, and all those guys.
Rich, how far along are you working towards that depth chart that you said you'd have at the end of the spring, or is that kind of like a Sunday, Monday thing after?
Yeah, and even Sunday, Monday is not going to, we're going to have a depth chart, but it's not going to be finalized till the end of August camp. But on Friday, Saturday's scrimmage, we split the team up into blue and white, because we had blue and white practice jerseys, but and we scrimmaged with it the other day, and I really liked the intensity and the competitiveness of us. It was mixed guys we think will be ones, and some of the guys we think will be ones were on that white team, some were on the blue team. And so it was really competitive. It was a competitive practice, competitive scrimmage, and we'll do that with the spring game. And I'll have some kind of consequences for the winners and the losers, and they seem to enjoy that part of it.
Did you get into any live special teams today, or is that later this week?
No, we're going to do a lot of special teams on Wednesday. We won't have any live special team on a Saturday. So it's kind of hard. And the hardest part about it is you got to teach them. And so before you get it taught, you don't want to go live before they're really taught because you don't want them running to the punter or getting hurt that way.
Were you a little behind there maybe, or have you done enough to your liking?
No, I've always, yeah. I mean, we'll do field goal and punt block, and Wednesday we'll do some kickoff return, but we're in short, so what are you going to tell from that? So we'll have a lot of special teams in August camp. So I think sometimes, we're not ever going to neglect it. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
But I also think sometimes special teams coaches will try to do too much. Like the same way with offensive defensive coaches. They want to be the smartest guy in the room, and they have all these fancy schemes and stuff like that, whereas, still just 11 guys, we're playing checkers, not chess. We're not trying to think 4 moves ahead. We're just trying to think the next move, you know what I mean? So I've actually made the defense hone down their playlist from the first day we split the team up. And then I made the offense cut down their playlist. So it's more about we still got to evaluate who we have and what we do, and then not worry about the latest trend or latest fancy play on offense or defense.
Have you gotten any out of that? You said you were kind of narrowing it down so you could see who could beat who in one-on-one. Have you?
Yeah, we got better when I honed it down. I got tired of us coaches just trying to come up with a scheme. We don't play each other, first off. But second off, we've got to evaluate and we've got to teach fundamentals. Everybody forgets, whether the guys transferred in and out or we got 39 high school kids that just got here, and they get coached well in high school, but they still got to learn a lot of fundamental stuff and how to play. So playing hard and playing fundamentally sound is more important right now than trying to be tricky.
You think you've gotten good information out of what you've seen since it's toned down?
I think we've gotten better information since I made them reduce the.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's been better to be able to measure that. And the scrimmage was way better because we toned it down, split them up, and you got a lot better feel for, okay, this guy looks like he can help us a little bit, or this guy still got a ways to go. So I should have probably done it earlier. I just didn't think of it.
Back to your special teams real quick. You've got a kickoff guy that you looked, at least in his previous stop, put the ball in the end zone a whole lot, not touchbacks. Has he done that, the Irish kid, for you? Does he look like he can give you a lot of touchbacks?
Well, according to my special teams coaches, he has. And ask me are we having a presser on Wednesday? Yeah, ask me Wednesday. If I go, we hired him with X. If you got a guy that can put it, get 70% touchbacks or whatever, or 75%, man, you save a whole lot of time and angst worrying about the kickoff team. So that's one of our thought process, because we couldn't do that last year.
Rich, you talked about, some of your freshmen kind of are who you thought they were. Has that continued, throughout the spring? Are they continuing to play at a high level, or have they hit a little bit of a wall?
No, I really haven't. I think because practices are so spread out over spring, we're not having back-to-back practices in pads or anything like that. It's, so they have, like tomorrow they'll have meetings to review what happened today, and then they'll still have a meeting before they have a Wednesday practice. So they're not, when you go in August, it's like really every day. So it's a lot. Spring's the best time to teach. But that being said, we have a few that aren't here, and we still have time to teach them over the summer. And I said this, I think, last time here. If a high school guy is a really good player, and we want him, but he wants to play basketball and baseball or basketball, run track, whatever, I want him to do that and enjoy the high school experience. So as much as we like to have them and be selfish, I want them to enjoy that. If they're participating and doing well, by all means, play multiple sports and enjoy that, and we'll teach you when you get here.
You mentioned a lot about kind of the three quarterbacks that you've seen, what you've seen from them from the start of camp now as it's closing.
Yeah, what about it? What'd you say?
What have you seen from
Well, I
Scott
think they've
Williams?
taken steps. I think simplifying has helped a little bit. You can see who's played a little bit. Scotty's played some, but he's still 18 years old. He's still young. I mean, he was enrolled early last year, and he was 17 years old. So, but he's getting comfortable. Mike Hawkins, I think, has made great progress. He's a very conscientious guy. He's got some good experience. He's a really good athlete. So, been really pleased with Mike's. And he works hard. I mean, he's here all the time watching film. So that's been great to see. I think Max has gotten better. Max Brown, and the young guys are the young guys. But I see Jaron doing some really neat stuff. And then you see some fresher moments, but he's very, very coachable, very conscientious. You tell him something, and he gets it. And then we got Wyatt that's going to be here this summer, so it's a good group. But the three older guys, I say Scotty's not an older guy, but experienced guys. Scotty, Mike, and Max have kind of led the way.
Jaden Bray's coming in after you're done. He seems like a guy people should root for, right? He's
100%. Jaden Bray is a great young man. He's a really good football player. He's had a little bit of tough luck with injuries, but he's kind of like I said this. He's the alpha in that room, but he's not a raw guy and all that. But everybody respects him. Everybody in the program respects him, and I think he's poised to have a big year, and I think he would have last year too. But he's a lot of fun to coach because it's important to him, and he works hard, and you never have to worry about his effort or his toughness.
Hey, Rich, I know you haven't put all the pieces together defensively yet, but the term that y'all use all the time is you gotta have dogs. I gotta have dogs. Can you sense the additions that you've got, that number of guys that play at that level that you need?
I think so, Tony. I think, we wanted to get more athletic at certain spots, get a little bigger certain spots, and have a certain edge, by watching them. And not that the guys last year didn't. I think some of them did. But I think also the second year, the handful of guys that are coming back understand it and have that into them. I think, the coaches, even some of the coaches I have that ingrained in them. And so that's helped a little bit. But I do think it's contagious, if that makes sense, that once you become unsoft, you never want to go back to being soft. And I think I could see that shaping a little bit there. It always seems like it's taken a year or two at all my previous places. Other than Jack State, it kind of happened right away pretty quickly there. But that's the goal. Like if he say nothing else but, man, Coach, there ain't nobody soft in your team. And all those guys have a hard edge. I mean, they play with a hard edge. That doesn't mean they're stupid and hitting cheap shot. But, man, you guys got a hard edge. And it's the same way with the basketball team. Our basketball team showed that. Our women's team showed that. I mean, they play with a hard edge. It didn't matter what the score was, man, they come out. And that's what our football team needs to be. And at times, it wasn't like last year it was bad, but it wasn't to the level where – I guess we all expect, and our fans expect, our state expects, as far as hard edge, every player, every play, every time. No excuse. There's not one time a guy is loafing or soft that it does not get addressed and corrected. Not one. Okay, never. Well, let that. And there was too many times of that last year, and there cannot be one time that happens. So they got to be in great shape, know what they're doing, and that's as much on us as coaches as it is on them.
Think of the concept of spring games in the past and where they are now. How much has changed, maybe just in the last 10 years?
Well, everything has changed. I think everything. We're having a great day. There's a lot of activities. This festival. We have Jake Owen coming. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. So I think there's always a place for that and for fans to come and enjoy it, get a sense of football a little bit. So I think Saturday is more than just, for us, we look at it as maybe just a scrimmage, but it's a lot more than that. And now with everything getting monetized and us needing so much more revenue, I think it's going to be an opportunity to maybe explain that a little bit to a lot of folks this weekend. But I think it's going to be, now people want to play a game against somebody else. Yeah, I don't know about doing that in the spring. I think that's a little risky at times, but I do think at least Saturday. I know our players are really looking forward to it. Our format, our blue-white deal. I think I've talked to a lot of fans. They're really excited about coming up here and seeing some of the new guys and seeing some of the activities we have. So, if you're a Mountaineer fan and you can make it this Saturday, come on up here and check us out. Check out all the things we got going on. And bring your whole family, bring your kids. I could tell you bring your dogs, but I don't know if we have a thing to watch your dogs. So, no. But bring your whole family up and let's have a great time.
Coach, you talked about the individual development all spring. For position groups that really depend a lot on playing together, offensive line, run fits on the defensive front, the front six, whatever, how much of that goes into determining who plays? And sometimes is it not the best 5 or 6 guys that can play because another group plays better together?
Yeah, part of what you're probably alluding to is, like, particularly on the O-line, the communication has to be good, and understanding the offense, what we're wanting done, like what Coach Trickett has, how they need to communicate. That's part of the deal. Now having, Nick Craig comes back, he's got some experience, but he wasn't with Trickett. Landon Livingston the same way, but those will help. But having Bubba Grayson, having Cam Griffin, who've played in our system and played with Coach Trickett, has made a big impact already. Some of the guys that we brought in, like Wes King and Karsten Cassidy and Kevin Brown, those guys are really good football players, and they're very, very coachable. You tell them something, they get that. So we've probably progressed quicker with that communication piece because of Coach Trickett and because of the pieces that we brought in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.